faithfulness, then you know that God is faithful. See, in order for us to learn how to be faithful, we got to learn how to hear God's voice. When you hear God's voice, then that opens up doors for your life. Because listen, I want to share something with you on this morning, that when you hear God's voice is literally or spiritually a snapshot of the future. God is not just talking to you just to be talking to you. The reason why he's talking to you is because he has a different perspective than what you have. We can see what's in front of us, but God can see what's behind us, what's around us, and what's in front of us. And so what God does, so that you won't lose hope, and so that you won't give up the faith, he'll give you a word concerning his perspective. He'll give you a word concerning the future. Listen, I'll never forget what God told me one day. He said, Oric, I asked God, I said, Lord, me and my wife, we were going through some hard times, financial times. Anybody been through some financial hardships? You ever been through some hard times before? And I'm like, God, how do we know that we're going to make it out of this? How do we know that we're going to make it out of this? And God said this to me. He said, because I'm looking at you right now in 2024. Y'all gonna get me preaching in here. I said, say what? He said, I'm looking at you in the future right now. I said, wait a minute. I'm living in the present. He said, I know. He said, but I am an eternal God. See, and I said, God, you're going to have to break this down for me. He said, Ori, have you ever looked at a timeline before? I said, yeah. He said, can't you see the beginning of a timeline? Yeah. And can't you see the ending of a timeline? Yeah. He said, Ori, that is my perspective. Yeah. He said, I can see the beginning and the end all at one time. He said, that's why I never lose my cool, because I know how it's going to finish. He said, that's why I'll never panic, because I wrote it. Lord, y'all go. Woo! Listen. Before you watch a movie, there was a script before you watch the movie. The actors are never, the author or the directors and producers are never surprised by the ending of the movie because they wrote it. God wrote the ending of the book. You don't have to fret. You don't have to be afraid. You don't have to be timid. You can walk into the blessings of God with courage and boldness, because you know that you serve the one who's in control. So you don't have to be. You can bring it down, you can relax, you can be cool. And that's why Jesus says, come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Why can't you give me rest? I'll give you rest because my word says in Luke 22 and 31 through the 32nd, and the Lord said, Simon, Simon, behold, Satan had desired to have you, but I have prayed for thee that thy fail not. And when thou art converted, strengthen thy brethren. Listen to me. I didn't say that your grandmother prayed for you. I didn't say that your daddy prayed for you. I didn't say that your uncle prayed for you. I didn't even say that the bishop prayed for you. Jesus prayed for you. Now that's probably a bold statement to make, because in scripture it says, Peter, Simon, Simon, I have prayed for thee. But what Jesus said, what God has taught me, he said, Ori, the reason why I left their name in, so that you can replace your name with their name. Every once in a while, I like to replace my